The route card. Looks complicated, doesn't it? Don't worry, in this video we're going to break it all down to nice easy steps, and I'm going to show you via examples here in the Lake District and on a recent walk on Hadrian's Wall how this planning method can make your walk safe and enjoyable. So join me. So in the last 5 videos we've been talking about different aspects of navigation, and they all break down to something you may be familiar with called the 5 Ds. Pretty funky graphics, eh? And the 5 Ds pretty much help you to get from section to section on a walk, and this is where the route card comes into play. And the route card is just a way of getting you this down on paper, and it helps you to really plan your route in detail. So let's have a look at distance on this route card here. So distance will be number 1 here, and this is each leg of the walk. So each section that we feel worth breaking down into pieces. Secondly would be duration, or the time for the leg. Number 3 would be direction, which in this case is the magnetic bearing in this column. Number 4 would be a description of route, or what you're going to see or should expect to see along the way. And number 5 goes on to the next leg, and that's your destination. So each time you just repeat those loops, taking you from one leg to another. Simple. The crucial thing when you're doing that planning is it's getting you familiar with the route. You're not just turning up at the start of your planned journey and working it out as you go. You've lived that journey already. You've looked at all the possible options of the route, and you've thought about escape routes. You've done some research. You've perhaps read other people's blogs as to how that route's going to run. And I know it doesn't sound very exciting, but on the day when you've got that route card there, you can get on with enjoying what's around you and refer occasionally to your route card, sometimes to the map to check you are where you are, and just enjoy it. So that route card is going to be personal to you for the day, and each leg is going to be a description that you understand. So even if you lost your map, you can still carry on with your planned route. What are you doing? So this is the type that I'm using nowadays. I've just printed them off myself, and there's lots that you can download online. This is one from the Scouts, but others are available. Just search route card PDF or route card Excel. You can get it in spreadsheet form and even type your own out if you're keen. But when you laminate this, you need to use a non-water soluble pen, a permanent OHP type pen, but you can rub this off afterwards with alcohol such as hand gel. It's quite useful. And the nice thing about this one is you can put other information on it, like party members, emergency contact number, what to do in case of an emergency, just a little checklist of the equipment in the party there, and the weather forecast. So it's all about planning really, and it's getting to look over that route. So just going back to the one that looked rather complicated earlier, I did on a recent walk that we're going to link to soon, is I got my colleagues to do their own version, and they each come up with slightly different ones. This chap did it on a spreadsheet. That one was the same version but a little bit larger with a little bit more detail, and this one was mine, but it was personal to those individuals. And what one party member did that was absolutely excellent is they laminated the whole map on this large sheet, and for each leg they marked them on the map that corresponded to their description, which is actually this one. And fairly easy. This is a route in the Lake District, goes from Little Town over Hindscarth to over Robinson and back down. Some Ordnance Survey pre-planned routes have a route card that you can print out, making life very easy. Although I think that sometimes misses the point of a route card, which is really getting down and having a look at the map and pre-planning it. And if you write it out yourself, rather than relying on somebody else's or a pre-printed one, it gets you dialed into the route. And that'll help you if anything goes wrong to listen to those little warning bells that something's not quite right because you've already planned it. A really nice thing to do as well is on Ordnance Survey you can do a route flyby. Again, it might seem like taking the adventure out of it, but it gets you familiar and get enjoying it on a day. So let's go over to that walk on Hadrian's Wall where we planned our route, did the walk, and some of my colleagues comment on the key points, what they feel are important about route cards. Cheers. So we're here on Windshields Crags on Hadrian's Wall. I'm got a lovely walk with friends, so the scout leaders and young Joel, and today we're looking at putting it all together using the format of route cards. So we've talked about pacing, detail on the map, simple map reading, looking at the legend, getting a grid reference, compass work, and now we're going to be putting it all together on a walk using a route card. We've all done a separate route card beforehand, and it's interesting to see how different interpretations of what kind of detail should be in there. So what is a route card? Well, a route card is a guide to your walk on the day. And that could be anything from describing how somebody should walk around a football field, turning 90 degrees left, for instance, at each corner, through to a complex route over open moorland. This is quite a nice one because we've got a really good handrail here to follow, one of the oldest handrails in the world, Hadrian's Wall. And we've got a lot of good key features. So a route card can be descriptive, as in each waypoint is a description of a point, or it can have grid references, and that would be, or both, that would be according to how much detail you need on the ground. So Mark, what do you think the most important thing about using a route card is?
It's a combination of the facility of using it to follow your route without necessarily having to refer back to your map, and the necessity of actually working your way carefully through a route and plotting out the contours, or understanding the contours, understanding the direction that you're travelling. In these modern days when you've got all the electronic tools there, it takes a little bit more patience and time just to become familiar with your route before you set off.
Yeah, so you've explored the detail of the route before you set out, and you understand any escape parts and alternatives and what the route might look like.
Yes.
Yeah. So Warren, what do you feel is the most important aspect of a good route card?
The most important aspect of a good route card is having already looked at the route, seen what way you're going, so that you can visualise your entire route. You've looked at each leg. So at any given time, as long as you know roughly where you are on which leg, you should be able to work out where you are on the map.
So Elliot, which would you say is the most important aspect of a route card?
The escape routes. It's quite a good column to fill out on your route card, so you know the quickest and safest way to get off the hill or to a point of safety in an emergency.
Cool, so what we've just been talking about is route cards and the way we might set them out beforehand. Warren's using a memory map and he's getting the details from there, but then exporting it onto Excel and then printing it out, so he's got a pretty good system there. The rest of us have printed out a standard route card and written it in. How did you do yours, Elliot?
I used the DAV mapping feature available for DAV participants and DAV instructors, leaders on the eDAV website. Woo! It is pretty groovy.
There's Crag Luff on the windsill. So Joel, what do you think is the most important aspect of a route card?
Are we there yet?
Yeah, it can tell you, are you there yet?
Button that says route card. When you click that,
Heading along to about here, Smile Castle.
Mile Castle 39.
Yeah.
And a very good one. It is too. It's the Whistler of Nottingham.
There's Hotsbank and then a building, and there's a lake, and over there's the lake. So we must be.
So they're using your finger.
here.
If you use that, you can point a little bit closer to where you think you are on the
We
map.
must be here. That's the farm over there.
Very good.
That's the lake. We're there.
Excellent. So this was one of our waypoints here, end of Crag Luff, and we were heading up on that bearing. The distance to the next one was there, and that was 60 metres height gain, east-northeast. But we decided on it, since we've done an extension early on, we've decided on a slight change over. We were going to go up past the farm, then hang a left, pick up that path there.
So I know we're here because of up here in the trees, and I know we're here because when you look over there, we're in the exact same spot next to the lake.
Okay, so you're taking a visual reference. Yeah, so you're checking in between your route card waypoints, aren't you?
Yeah.
So that's the thing about route cards, is you can either, if you've got a good one, maybe you don't need to refer to the map so much and you've already rehearsed the route a fair bit in your mind. And you'll need to refer to the map less. You do need to still keep it handy, but it's certainly reduces down on the amount that you would need to keep your thumb on the map. There's a nice view of Sycamore Gap from this side. Hello. So in summary, with the route card, the key points are using it to pre-plan the route, using it to make life easier for yourself instead of constantly referring to the map, to give you escape options. Are we good?
sounds good to me.
Thanks for watching.